All right. What's up, guys? Just hope you guys are having a fantastic day today. Um, as you can see, we're on the verge of talking about some money. And it's important for us to always talk in money because if we're not talking about money and taxes and how to build wealth, then what are we talking about? And that's one of the things I want to talk to you guys about is understanding money and how easy it is to break down our finances because finance is not complicated. I think what's really complicated is the fact that we don't understand the logistics of finance and the importance of finance. And I want to come on here today and really stress, the importance about finance, right? You got to have your finances intact, meaning that when it comes down to understanding taxes, guys, I'm telling you, you got to position yourself to start winning the money game. There's a major crisis happening out here. We're talking about inflation right now. Inflation continues to go up. We've seen the cost of living is going up. Food price, gas price, all that's going up. But the question is your investments, is your portfolios going up to keep up with the rate of living? So you got to position yourself. And the way you position yourself is with education. Let me tell you something, guys. Why do you think financial literacy is not taught in our schools? Why do you think financial literacy is not taught amongst our employees and employers? Why do you think financial literacy is not a major topic? In today's day where money is such a confusing thing, why are we not talking about finance? Why nobody's talking about finance? Why no one is stressing the importance of us winning the money game? You got to think about that. Why is that? Is that by accident? Is it by design? Is it by default? Right? Think about it. Why finance is not a major topic? And you got to think about the powers of within. So if you don't learn things like your FIN number, right? What is your FIN number? How many guys on here right now that's watching this? Do you know what's your FIN number? Do you currently know what's your FIN number? You know what FIN number stands for? Write this down. If you're watching this, write this down. Your FIN number, that stands for the final income number that you need for your retirement. Now, when it comes to retirement, how many of you guys know what you need for retirement? Do you know what you need for your retirement? Like, do you know the dollar amount? Do you know that number? Have someone broken that down for you yet and said, hey, John, Jamie, whoever you are, do you know how much you need for retirement? Do you know the dollar amount? Right? You have to know your dollar amount. I know my dollar amount, what I need for retirement in order to live the life that I want. I know I need $42.6 million to live the lifestyle that I want. So you got to think about it. Do you know your FIN number? Because you know why they don't teach you your FIN number? You know why they don't teach you your FIN number? Because if you knew your FIN number, guys, if you knew your FIN number, many of you wouldn't work a job. Because what you would realize that no job in the world that you work will give you the FIN number that you need to reach. Working no job out there. There's no job out there that could get you to reach the goal that you are surely searching for. There's none. And because that is so, we got to really look at it and think about it and say, well, how can we progress ourselves and prevail in these really difficult times? So you got to know your FIN number. You got to know how much you need for retirement. But most importantly, you need to know how much you need to save for your retirement. Because if you don't know how much you need to save for retirement, how are you going to win the money game? So that's why you got to know your FIN number, guys. You must know your FIN number. Most importantly, do you know how to budget? Do you know the importance of budgeting? Many of you were taught that budgeting is about tracking your spending. How many of you have heard that in some place somewhere? Budgeting is tracking spending. We have all heard that somewhere. Someone would have told us that budgeting is tracking spending. Budgeting is tracking spending. What if I told you that's not correct? Budgeting is not tracking spending, guys. Budgeting is not tracking spending. Budgeting is knowing how much can you spend and how much can you save before you do either one of them. That's what budgeting is, guys. And it is so crucial and it's so important for us to know how much we need to save and how much we should be spending before we do either one of them. Because what we tend to do is that we spend and we track, but we don't know how much we should be spending or tracking before we do any of either one of them. Sometimes we overspend. And our overspending habits is what catch us in these situations that we're dealing with today. Today, we're dealing with a major crisis, guys, where we're spending way too much and we're saving way too little. That's what's going on today. That's what's going on today. That's the reason why I tell everybody, man, you want to learn more about finance? I teach people for free. I teach finance for free. I want to empower people. I want to teach you finance. How many of you guys know how to put together a financial foundation? When the last time someone sit with you and say, hey, I'm going to teach you how to put together your financial foundation. I'm going to teach you how to put together your financial foundation. I'm going to show you how to create your financial foundation. No one is teaching you these things. So it is so important for you to learn how to create a stronger financial foundation so that way you can start winning the money game in real life. What if I tell you that when you think about creating your financial foundation, guys, you really got to start thinking about putting together proper protection. How many of you guys have proper protection in place right now for you and your family? I want to think about that. Do you understand what proper protection look like? All right? So you got to think about that. Hello, Francis. 321. So you got to look at things like this, guys. You got to put together proper protection. You must have proper protection for you and your family in place. Now, let me talk about this. There's 3 major events, okay? 3 major events that you must plan for, and you can't predict when they're going to happen to you. There are 3 major events that you must plan for, and you can't predict when they're going to happen to you. Write this down. The first event that you got to plan for, that you can't predict when they're going to happen to you, is number 1, you're going to die. There's not one of you on this call right now could predict when you're going to die. And if you could, you should know that you need to have urgency at this moment, right? So, if these 3 events is that one of them is that you can't predict when you're going to die. Number 2, you can't predict when you're going to have a health problem. Number 3, you can't predict when you're going to have a disability. These are 3 major events that you got to plan for. And if you don't plan for them, how are you going to prepare for these events if you don't put things in place? So you got to make sure that you put things in place. So that's why it's so important to know what are the 4 things you need to have in place before you pass away. Write this down, guys. I can't stress that enough. Here are 4 things you need to have in place before you pass away. Right? Write this down. Because many people won't teach you this. And the reason why you don't know this, they don't want you to know this. Diamond_TCN said it. The first thing you need to have is life insurance. You're right. But what kind of life insurance? Because, life insurance comes in many, many forms. The only way you can know which life insurance is affordable and suitable for you is based upon knowing your dime. When you plan to own life insurance, guys, don't just go buy $1 million policy without not knowing your dime. How many of you guys know your dime? It's your DIME. You got to know your dime, guys. You must know your dime. You got to know how much debt do you have. You got to know how much debt you have. You got to calculate all your debt. Because if something was to happen to you and your debt is not paid off, it could go to your next kin, which means it could be a spouse or a child. So you want to make sure that you have enough coverage to cover your debt. I tell people all the time, stop worrying about paying off your debt while you're alive. Just cover it. Do you think rich people worry about their debt? Rich people don't worry about their debt. They just have things in place to cover it. You understand? See why you're preaching to 8 people? Well, how about this? We're going to make it 1 less. There you go. That's what we do right there. We block negativity. We block negativity over here. 1 less. I don't need a whole lot of crowd. I just need the right people. So, the thing about that is this. When it comes down to knowing your dime, you got to make sure you cover your debt. You need to cover your debt. And once you cover your debt, don't worry about it. Right? Not I'm saying don't pay off your debt. I'm saying stop stressing yourself out. Stop stressing yourself out. Right? Cover your debt. Don't worry about it. Number 2, you got to make sure that you have income protection in place as well. The I stands for income. Now, when you think about your income, guys, I want you to think about it like this. If you have a dependent, right? Do you have dependents? Do you have kids? You got to make sure that you have your income protection in place. Meaning that if you're someone that makes $50,000 a year, you would need to have at least $500,000 in 10 years replacement. So if something was to happen to you, you want to make sure that 10 years of your income is also counted for when you're going to go acquire life insurance. And then when it comes to the balance of your mortgage, you got to calculate what is the balance on your mortgage. What is the balance on your mortgage? And then you want to put that in place, because if something was to happen to you, either you or your spouse, and you have a mortgage, can your life insurance pay off the mortgage so that way nobody have to worry about, how we're going to pay the mortgage and struggle and, have hardship? You don't want to do that. So you got to make sure that the balance of the mortgage is also calculated in there. The next thing you got to calculate is kids' education. Kids' education. So when you think about the kids' education, well, how many kids you have? How many kids you have? And they said that the average tuition for 1 year in a college is about $15,000. So when you add that up, that's about $60,000 for a 4-year college, right? About $50,000 average, depending on what they're studying for, and depending on what school they go to as well. So once you calculate all of this up, right? You calculate it. You may look at, sometimes you may coverage of anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million, $2 million, depending on your income, depending on your debt, depending on your mortgage balance, depending on how many kids you have and college education that you're planning for. You tend to almost need anywhere from $500,000 to $2 million in coverage. Now, what determines what life insurance is best for you and suitable for you and affordable for you is based upon your budget. Your budget will tell you, like, let's say, for instance, if you need a $2 million policy, but you can only put away $100 a month, then right off the bat, I know that a term policy is best for you. That let me know that based on your budget, a term policy, a 20-year to a 30-year term policy might be the best thing for you right now until we can increase cash flow, where we could then convert this bad boy later on into some form of permanent cash value life insurance later on. So these are things that we got to know. Right? So it's not every insurance is best for everybody. The insurance that is best for you is the one that is affordable and suitable to you based upon your dime. That's what most insurance agents don't know. So they just try to sell you $1 million policy. You should ask them why. Why do I need $1 million policy? Why must I have $1 million policy? And the reason why you tend to may need $1 million policy, it's sometimes come back down to your dime. But then again, which insurance is best affordable and suitable for you is based upon your budget. So that's why it's important to know. Yes, you said it right. You always got to ask questions. But sometimes it's hard for us to know what questions to ask, So it's not our fault. You see, that's why I educate people. This is why I'm out here giving away this knowledge and this information for free. I'm teaching the masses. I've been doing this for 10 years. For 10 years, I've been teaching. I've spoke at Columbia University. I've speak at different colleges in William Patterson. I've talked at churches. I've talked in front of congressmen, senates, mayors, right? Pastors. Go to school and speak to kids in elementary. I try to give people the knowledge. I want to wake up the world, man. Because I know what it's like to not be informed. When my dad got killed, we weren't informed. That's why I'm so passionate about what I do. Because I don't want another family to face what we went through. That set us back a lifetime, man. I'm here trying to catch up for what was done to us. So that's why we got to be impactful. We got to be really positive. That's one of the things that we got to be positive. We got to be receptive to information. I don't care if there's 20 people or one. If it was one person showing right now, I'll still be talking like this. If it was 0 people on here, I'll still talk like this. The information needs to get out. And it's our responsibility to let others know that there's someone out there that's willing to teach you. Guys, I'm telling you, if you click my link in my bio right now, there is a video in there. Watch that video. Watch that video. Answer the questionnaires. Right? And guess what? You will be in a position where you can start learning. Because you got to put together proper protection, guys. When you're creating your financial foundation, you must have proper protection. That's why you need life insurance. So when you own life insurance, think about your dime. What is my debt? How much debt do I have? How much of my income replacement is needed? How much balance on my mortgages? How much educational planning does my kids need? And then when it comes to the next thing is that you got to have what's called final expense insurance. Did you guys listen to this? How many of you guys knew? How many of you guys knew that life insurance will not pay out immediately when you die? Did you know that? Did you know that life insurance, if you die right now and you only have life insurance, it will not pay out right now. It takes anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks to pay out. But is the funeral home waiting 4 to 6 weeks to bury you? So your family, even if you have life insurance, your family still may have to struggle to come up with money for you to be buried. How many of you guys knew that? That's why it's important to have the second thing. It's called final expense insurance. Final expense insurance is typically in the form of a whole life policy that is way cheaper. It tends to be from anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000 in coverage. It's very cheap to have. It's a very, very cheap insurance to have because it takes care of the final expense. This insurance is the insurance that pays out within 48 hours of you passing. So that's the insurance that takes care of the funeral. That's what takes care of your burial. So you want to have life insurance and final expense insurance. And number 3, you need to have a will. You know what a will is for? A will is almost like it speaks for you when you die. When you can't talk anymore, your will speaks for you. That's what the will is. It's you still being able to talk, still being able to direct your family, your friends, the people you care about what to do when you can't speak for yourself anymore. So the will is the order. That's why when you have a will, the will is so important because it also ties in a power of attorney. Who will become your power of attorney? Meaning that you don't have to die to need a power of attorney. A power of attorney is important because if you can't speak, if you're in a coma, If you're in a coma, who's going to make decisions for you? Did you know? Oh, man, parents, let me tell you this, parents, and listen to me very well when I say this. Parents, I want you to listen to me. Did you know that if your child is 18 years old and God forbid they're in a coma, God forbid they can't respond, did you know that you can't make any decisions for them if they're in the hospital? The hospital can't give you no information about your child. You know why? It's because once they're 18, they're an adult. So the HIPAA law plays a major role in that conversation now. So due to HIPAA law and they're an adult, the law said that they can't share information with you unless you're the power of attorney. How many of you guys knew that? So if you have an 18-year-old child and you don't have a power of attorney on them and something was to happen to them, you can't make any decisions for them. You can't. You can't speak for them. You can't request information on them right away, at least. What if they need to make a surgery happen and because you don't have a power of attorney, you can't even make a decision for them? So many people make this mistake because they didn't know about the HIPAA law. So you need to have a power of attorney. You also need to have a health directive. Meaning that, do you want someone to reciprocate you if you was to die? Do you want them to definitely reciprocate you? Do you want them to not? What decisions you want to make? Put it in writing. So if you don't even want people to make decisions for you, put it in writing. That's why it's so important to have a will, the orders. Then a trust. That's number 4 thing you need to have in place before you die. A trust. You know why you need a trust? Because the trust is what you use, okay, to protect all your assets. Okay? You use a trust to protect all your assets. Now, if you may say, well, Keyon, what is considered an asset? Anything that has a monetary value to you. Anything that has a monetary value to you. It could be a recipe book. It could be family jewels. It could be a house. It could be a bank account. It could be a car. It could be anything. Anything that has it could be a photo album. Anything that has a monetary value to you needs to be in your trust. So that way you can know who will inherit it, who will be your trustee. But most importantly, the reason why you need to have a trust is to protect your family from go through what's called probate court. Did you know that the average probate court could take away a family's wealth up to 40%? And this probate court could take anywhere from 2 to 3 years, if not more, depending on the size of the estate. That's why it's so important to have a will and a trust. So these are 4 things you need to have in place when you put together proper protection. Then you got to learn how to manage your debt. You got to learn how to manage your debt. You got to learn how to pay down your debt and build up your credit at the same time. You also got to learn about emergency fund. Did you guys know that you need to have 3 to 6 months of your income set to the side? Well, the way things are looking today, you may need at least 6 months to a year set to the side. That's why it's so important for us to have an emergency fund. And then when it comes to saving and investing your money, before you start to save and start to invest your money, guys, you want to take the time to know 2 things. Write this down. 2 things you need to know. Number 1, you got to know what is your risk tolerance. You must take the time to know what is your risk tolerance, meaning that are you someone that's a conservative investor? Are you an aggressive investor? Are you a moderate? Are you a moderate growth investor? You got to know what is your risk tolerance. What kind of risk are you willing to take to make money? And then the second thing you need to know is what is your tax tolerance? How do you want your investments to be taxed to you upon distribution? Do you want to pay taxes now, later, or never? How many of you know how to get taxed never upon distribution? So you see, guys, that's why you got to have a strong financial foundation. And the 4th thing you got to learn when it comes to your finances is wealth formulas. One of my favorite wealth formula is the one that helps us to understand how money works. And it says money plus time plus or minus rate of return minus inflation minus tax, and that equals wealth. You see, guys, once you take the time to understand that formula, you understand how to use it to build your wealth. Formulas like the 10-20 formula. These formulas are important. The rule of 72. Those formulas are very important for you to know because they all help you to build wealth. Guys, these are the things that you learn here. That's what I'm here to teach. How many of you guys learned something today? I'm looking in the comment box right now. How many of you learned something today? Did I say something that you never knew? Did you get some understanding today? Just let me know. Because it's so important for us to learn, man. It is so important for us to really start understanding finance. Finance is not complicated, guys. Finance is not complicated. Don't let anybody trick you or try to persuade you or convince you that finance is complicated. It is extremely simple. If I could learn it, you can learn it. Guys, you're looking at a guy here that I grew up in school and they said that I had a learning disability. How many of you guys know someone that was in special ed? That was me. Can you imagine? A guy like me was in special ed. Can you imagine that? But I've learned that education is not what is being taught. It's self-education. What I've learned is that the teachers didn't know how to teach me. They didn't know how to handle my ADHD, but they didn't understand that that actually was the greatest gift to me. Because I've learned ways how to learn. I can't stand reading a book. But I will buy an audiobook and listen to it. So you just got to learn different ways, right? You learn different ways how to cope and, maneuver through life, guys. And thank you, Vicky Richard. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Lisa said she absolutely. I hope I'm saying your name right. Francie? Francie said yes as well. Yeah, I'm glad you guys learned something, definitely. And I hope you guys get a good takeaway. And I want you guys to go, like I said, if you like to get more information, right? And you want to learn more, all you have to do is literally just click the link. Click the link in my bio. When you go to my bio, you get access to a free video, right? Where it teaches you more about finance. And you have the ability to learn more about finance and position yourself to learn more, right? And then there's a short survey that you fill out. Fill out that survey so that way we can start coaching you and teaching you. Guys, it costs you nothing. It costs you nothing. And you can learn this stuff. Learn it. It's important we learn. All right? So with that said, guys, I appreciate you all. I can't wait to, if you're not following me, follow me. I will follow back. I'm not one of them bougie guys that, on TikTok that think that a follow is really hurt anybody. So if you follow me, I will follow you back. If you comment on a picture of mine, I'm going to comment on yours back. I'm just that way, right? So definitely thank you for all the love and appreciation, right? I will have this video up on my YouTube as well, available for you guys. So once you click the link, you'll see my YouTube. Make sure you subscribe as well. I love all the support. Thank you, guys. Go check out my videos. It's very powerful. You learn a lot. And continue supporting, guys. I appreciate you all. And if you like this type of stuff, just comment on the pictures and let us know that you love me to do these lives more. So that way I can start giving you more information. There's so much to teach, so much for you to learn. All right? So with that said, guys, my name is Keyon Corniff. Some people call me Mr. Finance. It's such a pleasure to be your coach and educator today. Always remember, you're one decision away from changing the future for the better. So remember, the choice is always yours. Choose wisely, guys. I see you guys at the top, all right? God bless you guys. Mwah. Have a good day.